Julius Malema has demanded 1 million rand and a public apology from activist and former Bukosi FM presenter Ngizwi Mchunu. This comes after remarks Mchunu made during an interview outside the Union buildings in Pretoria on the 28th of April, which were later shared widely on social media. In that interview with King Zoso, Mchunu alleged that the EFF leader received 60 million rand from Nigerian drug dealers in exchange for political protection of illegal immigrants. He also used a derogatory term, saying Malema eats Mali Yamakwerekwer, referring to African foreign nationals. Malema's legal team, England's Slabbird attorneys, sent a formal letter dated the 29th of April. They described the allegations as false, malicious, and defamatory. The letter says the statements portray Malema as a criminal, a fraudster, dishonest, and unfit to hold public office. It argues the claims could severely damage his reputation, especially ahead of local government elections. Mchunu was given 24 hours to meet 4 demands. First, retract the statements in full. Second, issue a public apology. Third, publish that apology across his social media platforms, including TikTok. Fourth, pay 1 million rand in damages for the harm allegedly caused. The letter warns that failure to comply will result in legal action being instituted against Mchunu, including a claim for punitive costs. The EFF has also spoken out, calling the claims a malicious lie and accusing Mchunu of deliberately spreading falsehoods to gain attention. At the time of reporting, Mchunu had not yet publicly responded to the legal demand. It is important to separate two different Mchunu's currently in the news. Ngizwi Mchunu is the former radio presenter and activist at the center of this defamation claim. Senso Mchunu is the current police minister. Malema has also been confronting Senso Mchunu in parliament over separate allegations raised by KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nlanhla Mkhwanazi. Those allegations involve the disbanding of the Political Killings Task Team and the handling of dockets linked to political assassinations. Malema has publicly called on President Cyril Ramaphosa to fire Police Minister Senso Mchunu immediately. But the defamation demand is directed at Ngizwi Mchunu, not the minister. To understand this case, it helps to look at what defamation means in South African law. For a defamation claim to succeed, the person bringing the case must prove 3 things. First, that the statement was published. In this case, the interview was recorded and spread across platforms like X and TikTok, so publication is clear. Second, that the statement is defamatory. That means it would lower the person in the eyes of reasonable members of society. Alleging that a sitting member of parliament took 60 million rand from drug dealers for corrupt protection would meet that test. Third, that the statement was about the plaintiff. Mchunu named Malema directly. Once those 3 elements are shown, the burden shifts to the person who made the statement. Ngizwi Mchunu would have to raise a defense. The main defenses in defamation are truth and public interest, fair comment, or reasonable publication. Truth and public interest means Mchunu would need to prove that Malema did receive the money and that the public had a right to know. Fair comment applies to opinions based on true facts, but Mchunu presented his claim as a statement of fact, not opinion. Reasonable publication is usually for journalists who check sources and give right of reply. Mchunu was speaking as a commentator at a protest. Courts have dealt with similar cases before. In a well-known judgment involving Trevor Manuel and the EFF, the Supreme Court of Appeal said that if you call someone corrupt, you need to bring evidence. In that case, the EFF had accused Manuel of nepotism and corruption in the selection of a SARS commissioner. The court found the statements were defamatory and ordered them removed. It also said damages for defamation require oral evidence and that orders to apologize are linked to damages awards. That brings us to the 1 million rand figure. Is it normal? Past cases give us a guide. In the Manuel case, the High Court initially awarded 500,000 rand, which the SCA later called extraordinarily high and sent back for oral hearing. In a recent Equality Court matter, the SA Human Rights Commission asked for 500,000 rand against Malema for alleged hate speech. Malema himself has sued others for defamation before, including former EFF members. 1 million rand is a high amount, but for a national political leader, especially when the legal team argues the statement affects electoral prospects, it is not unheard of. Still, damages are not automatic. A judge would look at how far the statement spread, whether there was malice, whether an apology was offered, and the broader political context. Politicians are expected to have thicker skin, but false allegations of criminal conduct are not protected speech. The timing here matters. These statements were made during ongoing anti-illegal immigration protests. Mchunu's argument in the clip was that Malema's defense of African immigrants, particularly Nigerians, is explained by this alleged payment. That argument feeds into existing public debates and tensions. Malema's lawyers specifically mention the upcoming local government elections, saying the claims are calculated to undermine his reputation as a member of parliament and commander-in-chief of the EFF. There is also history between the two men. Gizwim Chunu has previously banned Malema from KwaZulu-Natal. He did it in 24 before an EFF manifesto launch, and again last week in Durban during another march against illegal foreigners. He also announced a ban in the Eastern Cape. The EFF in KwaZulu-Natal has dismissed his attacks as distractions, saying they will not be derailed by what they called a nincompoop. Malema himself had responded on social media before the legal letter, challenging Chunu to provide evidence of when and where these payments were made. So what happens next? The letter gave Mchunu 24 hours from the 29th of April. If he does not retract, apologize, and pay, Malema's next step would be the High Court. He would issue summons for defamation. Mchunu would then file a plea, likely raising a defense of truth. The case would move to trial where evidence is led. Mchunu would need to prove the 60 million rand payment happened. If he cannot, he risks losing the case. If Malema wins, the court could order Mchunu to remove the videos, issue an apology, and pay damages. The amount may not be the full 1 million. Courts assess damages based on evidence of harm. Because of the precedent in the Manuel case, any damages award would likely require oral evidence rather than being decided on papers alone. This dispute highlights the balance in South Africa's constitution between two rights. Section 16 guarantees freedom of expression. Section 10 protects human dignity. Defamation law sits between them. It protects reputation, but it also allows for free political debate. The courts have said that political speech gets strong protection, but that protection does not extend to false statements of fact that accuse someone of crime without proof. The core question for the public is not whether you can criticize Julius Malema. You can. Political leaders in a democracy must expect criticism, even harsh criticism. The question is whether you can state as fact that he took 60 million rand from drug dealers without evidence. If you make that claim, the law says you must be ready to prove it. For now, the matter rests on Chunu's response. If he apologizes and retracts, the legal threat likely ends. If he refuses, the case could move to court, and the discovery process would test whether there is any evidence behind the claim. If there is, it would be a major scandal. If there is not, Chunu could face a court order and damages. This is not the first time social media has turned a protest comment into a million rand legal fight, and it will not be the last. In the age of live streams and TikTok, words travel fast and carry legal weight. For public figures and for ordinary citizens, the line between political opinion and defamatory fact remains critical. We will continue to follow the developments in this matter and bring you updates as they happen.